All right, my name is Zach. I'm the beer and wine coordinator at the Durham Co-op. My pronouns are he and him. Tonight we have Debra and Nacho who are representing a winery called Care. It's a Spanish winery. We've got a white and a rosé tonight. With 90-degree temperatures happening, it felt pretty good to show off some lighter style wines. And we've got some great ones. We're going to start off with the white. As both Nacho and Debra are talking, I'll show some video as well as some pictures that they shared with me a couple days ago and take it from there. So Debra, if you'd like to introduce yourself, please, the floor is yours.
Of course, thank you. Hello, I'm Debra Williams. I'm with the Grape Juice Group. We are importers of Bodegas Care, and we're very, very happy to have the wines here in North Carolina. And super excited to have Nacho join us all the way from Cariñena, Spain. He is the owner and winemaker. And without further ado, I will give the floor to Nacho.
Cool.
Okay, Zach, Debra, hello everybody. Thanks for inviting me tonight. Very grateful you have our wines on your table tonight. We are a family winery, a family vineyard, started in the year 2000 as a wine producers, but I'm the fourth generation of grape growers. My great grandfather was already cultivating the vineyards, but it was until the year 2000 when we decided to produce our own wines and our own brand, Care wines, and start selling our bottled wines. So we are in the northeast of Spain, and it's like between Madrid and Barcelona, under the Pyrenees. We are in the eastern side, and we are about 600 meters above the sea level. That's about 1,800 feet, between 1,800 and 2,400 feet of altitude, which is a lovely area. It's a very old traditional wine region, Cariñena. Indeed, Care was the name in the Roman times 2,000 years ago. And that time already wines with honey were produced in our area. So after the years, after the cells and the variants and so on until now, Cariñena in the 1932 became an appellation, together with Rioja, together with Jerez, with the Sherry land, and together with La Mancha, are the oldest appellations in Spain, and that's because it's a very appropriate territory for winemaking and grape growing, right? It's a very sunny area. It's a very dry, and we have the continental weather together with the Mediterranean influence, and that's why we are cultivating most of our wine or of our land with Grenache, Carignan, Shiraz, also some white Grenache, and we blended with some new other grapes like Chardonnay for whites, or Tempranillo, which is also very well known in Spain, but more for the Atlantic area, for the western area of Spain, and a bit of Cabernet Sauvignon, like every other regions in the world. We are a family vineyards, and we try to bring up contemporary modern wines into the market, and also that's why you see all the labeling are original paintings of local artists, Enrique Torrijos, which reflects perfectly the contemporary idea and the contemporary wines we are looking for from Spain, and in order to bring really cool wines, different from Italians or different from French, but with the tradition and the flavor of the old world Spain, right? What else?
Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah. So as far as the white wine is concerned, when you were just growing grapes before you started making wine, were you selling those grapes to other winemakers, or?
Yeah, mostly we were selling there are 3-4 cooperatives,
Okay.
big cooperatives, and we were selling them into those big cups. Well, there were not. Spain has not been bottling wines for that long. Rioja was the leader.
Mhm.
The rest of Spain took, I mean, took more time, and until the late 80s or the middle of the 90s, most of the wines were sold in bulk. Fortunately, nowadays, we have been 20, 25 years promoting and building a really nice bunch of wines with a lot of flavor
Right.
in a dry area, and also with a nice packaging and a nice promoting effort and investment to bring the people what it's behind a bottle of Spanish wine. And well, specifically, our region was more dedicated to red wines. Garnacha is the main grape. We in Cariñena we amount 14,000 hectares, which is about 35, about 40,000 acres
Mhm.
in total vineyards, and Garnacha is nearly half.
Wow.
Okay, so it's about, yeah, so it's about 20,000 acres. A lot of them very old Garnachas, like over 40 years old, in the traditional way, bush vines and dry farmed, with a lot of potential, and we will that we'll see with the Garnacha Nativa later on, and so on. But and also Carignan is we are doing a big effort on recovering Carignan, which was it is the only grape which is whose name is given by the city where it was originated, but were the French the ones that gave the name of Carignan grape, because when after the phylloxera they came in and looking for more vines, because the vineyards were dying, and they first reached Rioja, then arrived in Cariñena, and they found this varietal, which is also very much planted in the south of France, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I've had
has a lovely potential, especially when because it's a long cycle varietal, and it remains a lot of the acidity, which is what we more lack in our region because of the dryness and the sun.
right. Now, did your vines survive phylloxera, or did you have to do root?
No, 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 no. There are few over there. There were
Okay.
many planted, but there are few only in the higher elevated areas, but they're not that high. They are about 2,400
Okay.
feet, and well, you can find small, very small plots, but not reasonable big.
Right.
And Cariñena has these two areas. We have the hilly area all along the Iberian Mountains, which drive from Rioja to the Mediterranean Sea, and we have that high elevated area, and then we have a plateau. So you have both areas. Mm, One is more risky, the hilly and the slope area, and the plateau is like more conservative, is like more constant, and that's why Cariñena, combining both areas within the same region, wine region, last for so long, because it was very constant on its quality.
That's great. So for the folks at home, Phylloxera is a louse that attacks basically the rootstock of grapevines, and American heritage grapes are immune to it. So most of the rootstock in Europe is from the States. There's a couple of little pockets, like Nacho was just saying, where it's pre-Phylloxera. So it's vines that are 100%, Carignan or Grenache, where with the American rootstock, there's this theory that the flavor has changed because it's not 100% of the roots going into the ground. Really crazy thing happened in like the late 1800s and decimated things, and kind of Americans and the scientists in both France and Spain and all that, like figuring out that the rootstock could just be kind of grafted on, saved a lot of wineries, and also kind of changed wine forever. So it's pretty crazy thing. They don't like sand for whatever reason. So like I want to say in Chile there's some original rootstock still, but other than that, it's really hard to find just 100%, vines that are 150 years old or whatever it is. But just kind of, there's your fun facts for the day from me. Let's jump into this white. What can you tell us about the white?
Okay, the white is called Blanco sobre Elías. It's a blend of Garnacha Blanca, white Garnacha, and Chardonnay. It's mostly white Garnacha, 60%, and 40% Chardonnay. It's fresh and fruit forward white. We are in a dry and hot area. White wines are not, are very different from the northern European areas or like the northern Sonoma or northern parts of the United States. Garnacha Blanca is the indigenous grape over there, together with Macabeo, and it has a very nice fruit, a little bit bone fruit, and some citrus as well, and some dry, some floral notes, some white floral. And together with the Chardonnay, which is the Chardonnay gives the body to this wine and gives some notes of tropical fruit. In our region, the Chardonnay gets more tropical. It's completely different to the Chablis area or other high or cool areas, and brings these tropical notes on the palate and on the back palate, and at the end of the day, it's a straight white, very clean, very direct, with very nice aromas and with a rich medium long aftertaste.
Nacho, can you explain a little bit about Sobrelius, about on the lees, for folks at home who might not know?
Yeah, on the lees is we'll see afterwards also in the red. Well, our wines mostly are a little bit gastronomic. Of course, we can, if you chill them, the white and the rosé, you chill them down very hard, then of course are very fresh and cool. But both have enough body, and that's because we work a lot with the lees on stainless steel in this case, or concrete tanks like spheres, like called Galileo, like
an egg.
Yeah, like an egg. Well, our ones are more sphere, like
Okay.
rather than an egg, to keep those fine leaves on in suspension, and it brings this lovely mouthfeel, a little bit buttery, but fresh. Preserve the fruitness, preserve the freshness, not the freshness, but the crispiness of the wine, and we call it like that because it's a matter of differentiation and makes the wine like more drinkable and more approachable. To work with the lees is always with nitrogen, so avoiding any kind of oxidation, and all the batonnage are with nitrogen. We produce our own nitrogen in the winery, and that's part of the batonnage as well. So it's a kind of a technical or technological technique, but for the young, easy drinking reds or whites is also for the rest. But in this case, they give this fruitness, finish, and no bitterness at all, and long drought and pleasant. That's the idea.
Yeah,
So, Go ahead, Debra.
it's a very, very pretty wine. we've done very well with it in North Carolina. I think people have really appreciated, like you said, a little bit of that extra butteriness without, you know, the addition of oak. I think people have really enjoyed that.
Yeah, yeah, that's the idea. Well, in Spain, we are used very much to drink wines with food. We are not that, because we have plenty of tapas and bars, tapas bars, and it's very easy for us. So sometimes we also the weather is like more hot or more warmer than other regions in Europe, and so we tend to think of a gastronomic wine rather than a light wine. And but in this case, it's like can work for both, because the Garnacha Blanca is more floral, is more fresh, and and well, with in contact with the leaves, it gets like more creamy and gastronomic.
Yeah. I think creamy is a great way to describe this. Like that it's not like buttered popcorn butter. It's more of that like fresh, heavy cream, kind of adds some weight to it. So the lees that Nacho's been talking about are the yeast cells that kind of typically settle to the bottom, and then they're filtered and fined. I'm super curious about this nitrogen batonnage. So you're stirring with nitrogen?
Yeah, yeah.
That's super cool. Is it like a wand that you put in there, or is like how does it infuse into the wine?
Yeah, it's like yeah, it's simple. It's like, how do you say? I
Like
don't know how.
like a wand, you know, like a big stick.
Yeah, yeah, kind of stick. Yeah.
That's really cool. I didn't know that that was
Any kind of avoiding anything to avoid oxidation when moving the wines, and then
right.
and when stirring them, it's important, because in well, many times the tannins with I mean the wines get more difficult to drink afterwards, and yeah, that's a part of our technique.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, if you were to let wine oxidize, it eventually turns into vinegar for the most part.
Yeah.
There's some acetobacter in there that needs to do some work, but you know, oxygen in wine are not a good thing before it goes into your glass. Then it's a super important thing to really kind of warm up. I typically pour my glasses for Wine's Day about 15 minutes before we start, so it's not, you know, refrigerator cold, and it can kind of start to release those aromas and the textures, which wine is great at. You know, we think of water as just, you know, thin, and we drink it because you're supposed to, but you get these textures both from the weight of the alcohol as well as all of the winemaking techniques. So that's really great. Does anybody have any questions about what we've talked about so far?
Yeah, also alcohol level is 13.5, 14. Yeah, so that's a part of our terroir.
Right. Yeah, go ahead, Ed.
Part of our terroir.
Right.
Did you say? Did you say this was oaked?
No, it was unoaked. No, it was unoaked.
Okay, good. Okay. What if it were oak? What flavor? What would that do to it?
If it was oaked to this white, yeah, it could be more vanilla or bakery notes. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So especially I think oak is a great when you think of California Chardonnay, and you think of, you know, custard and butter and all of those really rich baking spices, 100%, you know, vanilla, 100%. And you know, if you want that stylistically, sure. It also gives you a lot more kind of mouthfeel. You know, some classic examples, KJ, you know, Kendall Jackson. Like when people think of butter, that's kind of an easy. You know, most places carry KJ. I do not, because I think there's some better examples of things out there, but that's a personal bias. If you want KJ, I'll buy it for you. Don't worry. But you know, as far as that's going, and for me, oak also is like more of a fall time kind of thing when it's a little cooler, because otherwise it's just really like a big glass of wine. Where this, even though it has, does it have any malolactic going on?
No, not this
Oh,
one.
okay, so like you're just getting that nice, like good acid to it, and you're just kind of enjoying what the yeast and the lees are doing, which you don't typically see. Did
Yeah.
that answer your question, Ed? No? No?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, actually well, in the warm areas, or at least when the climate is very warm, more the whites display more fruity, more tropical, more also more citrus. The acidity is not that high. It's actually it's quite we lack the acidity. So put it in the barrel. We have to be very cautious because it doesn't even get or it gets very watery, but it doesn't fit well with the ripe fruit,
Right.
or it gets unbalanced in the. I mean, it doesn't fit very well. We have made some tests, but the kind of fruit is not. I mean, it's not. It's not as delicate as in the cooler areas where you have more floral notes, more fresh apple notes or pear notes. Here is gets more tropical, and we are not we don't feel we can do a good job or can enhance the white wine in this in aging it in barrel.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it would make it a little bit dull. It would take away all that fresh acidity and minerality. And I think it would be way too dominant in oak.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's what I like about this wine. Nacho, do you want to talk a little bit about the climate and maybe the rainfall you get or don't get?
Yeah.
It's very
Well,
hot, right?
yeah, rainfalls the area is very dry. We are, let's say, we are between the Mediterranean and the Atlantic Ocean, so we don't get the rains from the ocean, and we don't get the storms from the Mediterranean. So we are some in the middle spot in the northeast, and roughly we get about 300 or 350 liters per year. That's all. We have some vineyards uh, with irrigation, drop irrigation, but it's not a big thing, but it's a help. And then it's a very sunny area as far as it is very dry. Uh, Very windy as well. We have a kind of wind all along the Ebro River that flows along Rioja as well. We are 150 miles, no, 100 miles from Rioja. We're not that far, but the climate changes quite a lot, especially from the Rioja Alta, the Rioja, the north part of Rioja. And that wind is called Cierzo. Is a kind of mistral, is a north wind, cold and dry, okay, which helps a lot for the dryness of the vineyard and the healthiness of the berries. Okay, then we've got altitude, which is quite nice, 18,000 from 18,000 to 24, from 1800 to 2400 feet altitude. That means we have a good a good difference between day and night temperature. And so in summer the mornings are cool and not that hot, and while during the summer we can reach to about 30-35 degrees, which is about that's about
It's what, divide by 7, multiply times 5, and then add 32, right?
90. No, I might no. That's a lot. I don't remember.
It's hot. It's hot, is what you're saying.
It's hot, but also winters are very cold. We get snow as well, and so it's very extreme weather, which is good for the vineyards indeed. I mean, the winters we have 1 or 2 months around zero or below,
Right.
between -5 to +5, and that's good also for the vineyard. So the yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Talking about weather and snow. I mean, this, not only are they beautiful pictures, but you can see like literally how much snow and kind of barren things are, and just really pretty all at the same time.
yeah. So So those are the main thing. Also the soils, we've got a lot of clay, which is good in the plateau, in the where we have more extension of vineyards, and a lot of rocks. That's mixture of clay and quartzites. That's super for to keep the freshness and the of the vineyards. They keep the heat during the day, then they put away the heat of the rocks, and you avoid any humidity in the mornings.
Okay.
And also it helps to keep the humidity a little bit in the when it rains, the humidity remains a little bit more in the soil, so it's poor, but at the same time is very appropriate for the vineyard. We've got these two main types of terroir of soils, right? That's a very old vineyard of Grenache that we use for the Garnacha Nativa, for instance, and all these are the traditional way. 2,000 vines per hectare, which is 5,000 vines per acre, and in driven in bush or planted in like a bush, and dry farmed, right? So the production is very slow. It's very small. It's about 3,000 kilos per hectare, which is 1 kilo per vine. But the juice, especially for Grenache, is lovely because Grenache is not very tannic and it's not very colorful. It has a very thin skin. So these concentrated berries allow us to make a kind of a style of Grenache with a lot of power and a lot of smoothness at the same time. We will try later on. Yeah.
Lynn, did you have a question? You got it. Yeah, unmute for me.
Hear me?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, okay. The first question has to do with climate change. We, of course, we're in North Carolina, but I think the United States is getting less snow than it used to. And so I'm wondering about Spain. That looked like at least a couple, 3 or 4 inches of snow. Do you get every year pretty much snow in the wintertime?
No. It's well, we think in general the average temperature is growing a little bit. Winters are shorter somehow, and let's say that autumns are longer. So well, it is more or less the same, right? Winters are cool time is getting a little bit is a bit shorter, and sometimes it's coming a bit later as well, starting in January and finishing in April. But well, it's not very clear. It's not very clear. In general, we are very clear. It's not very clear.
Yeah, we're getting a little feedback from you guys.
In general, we know we see that global temperatures growing slightly, but for our grape varietals, it's not that bad. Only for the whites can be, but well, we can balance a bit with some more irrigation and some we can manage.
Okay, and then second question. Can you unmute us?
Yeah, I did. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Second question.
Yes.
You can hear.
Yeah.
How we're not used to thinking of people planting vines in rocks. So I'm wondering how difficult that is. The stones behind you makes it look like it would be almost impossible.
Yeah, but the vineyards are very brave. I mean, you can even have all soils are rocks and clay mixed. Okay, are not completely rocky and slate. But even if you have slate in some small parts, we can find the vineyards will survive. Are very is a very robust plant. But of course, production will be small, and at the beginning will suffer and will you will need to put some more water and you will need to pay a little more attention. But most of the times will survive.
Yeah. Do you find that fruit takes longer, like more years to come to maturity with that?
Sorry.
So normally, like grapevine, if you plant it, it's what 2 to 3 years before you can harvest fruit for good winemaking. Do you find
Yeah.
it closer to like 3 to 5 with the soils that you have?
Yeah. When in the area where it's very rocky, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, classically, there's, I think, what Burgundy is known for really rocky soils as well. Deborah, you might be able to clue
Yeah,
us in on some
or the
other things.
Chateauneuf de Pape as well.
Right.
Yeah, but then later, I mean, the good thing is that it's all the lone vine regulates itself, so it needs like less attention in the future. But at the beginning, you need to pay a lot,
Sure.
or more than the rest.
It's really neat that the rocks kind of hold the heat in, and then kind of like insulate the ground, as well as kind of when it rains, the water is able to go through the big rocks and then kind of hang out in the clay. You know, clay is kind of notorious for holding onto water, where sand and loam and all that other stuff is more porous, so it kind of drains things away. With only 300 liters, I was trying to figure out how many inches of rain that is. That's what we use here in the States.
Okay, I didn't know.
But
So you
75 gallons of
use
water for the entire year isn't very much. So using the natural effects that you guys have to kind of preserve that water and do as little irrigation as possible is pretty amazing feat.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question, Lynn? Great. All right, so I think it's time that we can just jump right into the rosé.
Was that?
Not a bad way. Summer water for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
I think rosé gets a bad rap and should be consumed all year round. My partner does not feel like that, but that's why we have screw top wine and refrigeration. And again, another really pretty label with the mask. And you said this was locally drawn?
Yeah, that's Enrique Torrijos is the artist. He's a local artist here, and well, he was friend of the family, and he's he painted these labels and worked also for a corporate image, and it's like like really fresh air and contemporary looking for Spain, which is a very old traditional area, but we still need to put the hand on top of the table and open all to the people lots of bottles and share with the quality and price we can provide. Well, this is a blend of a Tempranillo with Cabernet Sauvignon. Those very strong grapes, with the very thick skins. But well, we are looking also. We are looking for a rosé with a bit of body. It's our lighter color rosé. In Spain, we do drink a rosado, like they do in the south of Italy as well, with more pink, strawberry pink color. But I know that, and I experienced that outside Spain, most of the people drink light rosé, right? With this kind of grapes, the rosé display a little more powerful and not that light and not that crisp. But well, this is our challenge as well. But for the rosado we drink in Spain, we don't even pay that much attention on that because people are drinking a lot that kind of rosado with the paella or with the pizza or with the tapas or jamon, all that, right? So this is a direct pressed rosé with looking for these strawberry and red berry aromas, a little bit of caramel as well, but very easy drinking. And the good thing of this rosé is we call it solidarity rosé, and it's like well, it's like this, like our charity rosé. We collaborate with the Breast Cancer Association, the pink ribbon of our hometown Zaragoza, which is a group of women that suffered from breast cancer and gather together to assist every day new women with this problem and assist them psychologically and therapeutically in the region, and we give the 10% of the proceeds to the association. That well, it's really when there is somebody or a group of people doing for free to the society this kind of bringing us this kind of values is a I mean, this is when you think all this makes sense.
Right. Yeah, that's great. That's really nice that you guys do that.
Yeah.
We sell, so I think it's really interesting when you mentioned like rosé versus rosado or rosato, how we do have a few of those at the co-op as well, where they're like, they almost look like watery red wine, if that makes any sense. Like a really deep red, but it's still rosé. I think the turnoff for folks, at least here, is it reminds them of a white Zinfandel in the mid to late 80s, which is not exactly what we're doing anymore. You know, all of the rosés we carry at the co-op are dry. There are different levels of fruit, and typically those rosado styles are very fruit driven, which for tapas I think would be awesome. Kind of, you know, especially when you just mentioned jamon. Like I'm all about some jamon serrano or iberico when I can get my hands on it. And that is a really great combination because that's such an intense and kind of, you know, salty, meaty flavors, and then you get that nice richness of a rosado. But I would be more than happy drinking this with you know, some jamon, some manchego, you know, whatever I think would be really great. This has a nice body, and the fact that it's both cab and tempranillo, like, and you get this color, like that's really beautiful. You know, typically you see these really dark, rich looking wines, whether they are on the palate or not, but this is just a really great, I think, spot on with the strawberry. And I like that almost like kind of like toasted almondy, caramelly kind of thing in there. Really great. This is be really nice for grilling out this summer when it's, you know, 100 degrees here and probably 105 over in Spain. But
well, indeed, your area should be also quite warm, no? In summer.
Oh yeah, we're already at 90.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 96 in my car today.
Okay.
It's very hot. So, but we did, we finally did get a spring this year, which was nice. But when it hits, it's just a light switch and boom, it gets very hot, very humid. It'll stay like this, you know, usually all the way through September.
Yeah.
Okay. But how far are you from the sea? How many miles? 100?
We're about 3 hours, or about like 200 miles, 150 miles, something like that.
Not that far. Not that far.
It's not very far, but we don't really get maritime influence or anything like that. We get humidity, but we don't really get any nice sea breezes or anything like that.
Okay.
We don't have, like, you know, there's a mountain range, another like 4 hours, so like another 250 miles or so west of us. But that takes the takes the air from the Gulf like up towards like New York, where we just kind of hang out and then get fun weather effects. But we don't have, the way, from what I'm understanding, the way your mountain range is starting in Rioja and coming down, going towards the Mediterranean. So you're getting that kind of wind and air movement from that too. So
Okay.
Lynn, did you have another question? Yeah, unmute for me real quick. There you go.
Run over this while I was. Okay, are we good?
Yep.
We're good.
There you go.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit more about the terroir of the region? For example, you know, how close are you to water, and are mountains nearby, and are you in the same lateral that, say, North Carolina is? Can you explain that? Or I hope you haven't done it while I've been wondering about it.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'll pull up a map real quick, and like
I think North Carolina, you are southern, I think, from us. And the other question was what was the other point?
How far are you from the ocean?
Yeah. We are, well, the ocean, or the Cantabric Sea, which is the western part, it's about 300 kilometers. That's about 200 miles, more or less. And the Mediterranean is another 200 miles, right, to Barcelona. So to the east, we have 200 miles to Barcelona, but we don't have, I mean, the influence of the Mediterranean is not, I mean, it's because with this wind from one sea to the other, but not humidity. We don't have humidity. It's very dry. It's very, we don't have that issue here. Also, we are 150 miles from the Pyrenees, which are of about 3,000. That's about 9,000 feet.
Yeah.
Altitude, right?
Yeah. So this is where we are latitudinally, and then you guys are up there.
Yeah.
And if we zoom in,
we are slightly in a higher parallel from you.
Right. And then this is where the Pyrenees are, where my mouse is right now.
Right.
And then this is general, like Rioja, Navarra, and then you guys are right here. And then Barcelona.
And the North Sea over there, close to Bilbao, that's get in contact with the Atlantic Ocean, and that's where all these the water, how do you say, I mean, the rainfall comes from that side.
Okay. So there, so you're saying the rain starts up in the Atlantic, kind of goes over and then hits you on its way back to the Mediterranean.
Yeah, but normally the rains go up to France, to Bordeaux. So from Logroño to the north. So that's why in our area we don't get we don't get much rain from the west, and we get from the Mediterranean when we have these very sunny days with the storms, but that's our only big storms that, of course, can fall 30 or 40 liters in one day, but it's not. I mean, that water is not. It's different water. It's not. It rains. It gets off very quickly. It rains. It gets off very quickly.
What was your question, Ed?
Can you hear me?
What was your question, Ed?
Yeah. We were in Malaga, Spain, about half dozen years ago when we were considering being expats, but which is not here nor there, but you went back to the label on your wine. It's obviously Picasso art influence. Can you tell us the history of that?
Sorry, I didn't understand very well. You were speaking about Picasso. Picasso was born, I mean, was settled in Malaga. Can you hear me, Zach?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
So, well, Picasso is one of the most reputed artists in Spain.
Yeah, we were in Malaga.
Artist in Spain.
He doesn't understand.
But the label on your bottles is somewhat of a takeoff of Picasso artwork. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yeah, I mean, all the artists here in Spain are, I mean, Picasso or Dali or Miro as well. They have that particular influence, and yeah, it's part of the history of art in Spain. Before we had Goya or we had Velázquez, we had other more classic and more romantic art, but that was in the 1700 in the 17th century, more or less, or the 18th. But the contemporary art, the icon is Picasso and Dali, and a little bit also Miro, and that's why the labels look a bit too. I mean, you see that influence. It's part of the ADN of the University of Arts here in Spain. And do I answer your question with?
Is that original? Is that original artwork then, or is that somewhat of a Picasso artwork?
No, those are original paintings of Enrique Torrijos, of the artist we work with, but not from Picasso.
So just highly influenced, but not.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell his inspiration without a
Yeah.
doubt. But those came from his brain, not from Picasso's brain.
Yeah, but the influence is there. It's totally there. Not in him, in all actual artists in Spain. There is a huge painting in Madrid, in the Museo del Prado, in the National Museum, of about 20 meters by 3 or 4 meters. It's huge, and that's the icon, one of the icons, and it's about the Civil War. It's the theme is not that good, but that good remind. But when you get in the museum and you see that piece of art, it's like it's amazing, and that's the icon for contemporary art in Spain. It's called the Guernica. The piece of art is called Guernica.
Okay.
Okay.
Debra, did you have something to add?
Yes, I do. There's actually on the side, on the labels on each bottle, there is a little bit about Enrique on there, where if you like his artwork, it will give you a link and you can look up all of his art and everything that he's done. It's a pretty fascinating website, and I would encourage everybody to take a look at it. Yeah, so right there on the labels each side.
Great.
So, yeah.
Right. Great. Well, I think that about wraps everything.
Picasso drink lots of Carré wine.
Great. Well, I think that about wraps everything up.
Yeah. I'm sure he drank Cariñena wine from Cariñena, but not from Cari yet.
Right. from the in the past, from the future, kind of thing.
Yeah.
He might have. Well, could he have drank your great grandfather's grapes? Maybe.
Sorry?
Was your great grandfather alive?
Yeah.
Maybe he, theoretically, he drank some of the cooperatively produced wine. We can make a false claim to fame right there for you.
Yeah. Oh, sure. And then he went to France as well, and he would drink also Porto wines and everything. Yeah. Wine and art is pretty close.
100%. It's art you get to drink, right? if the right artist is behind it, which I think tonight we've done pretty well. These wines are available at the co-op. We're going to be adding the red wine from Carré soon as well. That'll be in our Spanish set in the next few weeks. Me and Debra have been chatting about bringing some cool new stuff in through our distributor Freedom, and I think it's been great. These are, I think, going to be really great summertime wines. The rosé has already done very well for us, and it's still getting hotter out there. So I think people are going to be really excited to be drinking both of these, all summer long, aka September. But it's North Carolina, so we do what we can. Great. So that wraps up this edition of Wines Day. The next Wednesday is June 6th, same time, 5:30 to 6:30. We're going to be featuring the Las Jarras canned wines. So some natural wine out of California, just jammed into a can with a rainbow holograph label on it. And I just want to thank everybody for joining, and we will see you at next Wednesday. Thank you, Nacho. Thank you, Debra, for joining. We will see you
Thank
next
you very
Wednesday.
Thanks so much,
Nacho. Thank you, Debra,
Nacho
for joining.
and Debra. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you,
Ed.
Debra.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time. You guys have a great night.
Okay, good night.
Thank you.
You guys have a great night.
Thank you.
Okay, good night.
Thank you.